Hello sports fans, welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to go over my Week 6 XFL predictions. So last week I had a record of 1-3, and that brings my overall record on the season to 14-6. Starting off this week's games on Saturday, we have the Sea Dragons visiting the Guardians. So the Sea Dragons are coming in hot. They just handed the Roughnecks their first loss in franchise history, and they've also won 3 straight games and are now tied for second place in the North Division. And the Guardians, they're coming off a game where they played pretty well against the Vipers. They might have figured out quarterback in Quentin Dormady, who he had a good game, but who knows if that'll carry over to this week. But I would expect to see Quentin Dormady at least start and play a good amount of this week's game for the Guardians at quarterback. And for the Guardians, they could also be eliminated from playoff contention this week with a loss to the Sea Dragons or a Renegades win over the Brahmas. So I would say that's probably pretty likely for the Guardians to get eliminated one way or another this week. Now, this game shouldn't really be that close. The Sea Dragons, they've got the best offense in the XFL against probably the worst defense in the XFL in the Guardians. So the Sea Dragons should have a field day offensively and will beat the Guardians easily by a score of 29-13. Next game, we've got the Vipers hosting the Battlehawks. So the Vipers are coming off their first win over the season and are looking to build on that. Meanwhile, for the Battlehawks, they're coming off a loss where they got absolutely destroyed on the ground by the defenders. But they shouldn't have to worry about that this week against the Vipers, as their rushing attack hasn't really been that great all season long. Now, the key for the Battlehawks here is to protect A.J. McCarron. Now, he isn't a player that is that mobile, so the offensive line will need to play well against a good Vipers pass rush that has 11 sacks on the season. That's tied for 4th in the XFL. Now, speaking of sacks, I would expect the Battlehawks to try to get after Vipers quarterback Luis Perez and up their sack total on the season. They've only got 5, so that's 1 sack a game. So they should definitely look to get more pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. Now, I could see this game going either way, but I have the Battlehawks bouncing back from their loss to the defenders and beating the Vipers by a score of 21-12. Moving to the game on Sunday, we have the Brahmas visiting the Renegades. So this is interesting because we actually saw this exact same matchup last week. The only difference was it was in San Antonio. This one is in Arlington, and the Renegades are home. So in that game, the Renegades just barely won in a defensive battle by a score of 12-10. Now, I would expect something similar. Both teams are really good defensively and really bad offensively. Now, there is some changes for each team offensively. For the Brahmas, they have an interesting quarterback situation, as last week they started Reed Sennett at quarterback for the first time this season, but he broke his foot and is now out for the season. So they will most likely have Jack Cohn, who has been their quarterback for the season, or for the majority of the season. He will most likely start for them this week. But they also traded for quarterback Kurt Benkert from the Roughnecks, and I wouldn't expect to see him this week, but you never know. For the Renegades, their offense has struggled all season long, but they signed a dynamic wide receiver, Victor Bolden Jr., and he could definitely provide a much-needed spark to the Renegades' offense. Now, I expect a very similar game to last week. In another low-scoring game, I've got the Renegades with the win at 13-9. And finally, the game on Monday, we have the Defenders hosting the Roughnecks. So this is going to be a tremendous game. The Roughnecks are coming off their first loss of the season and also in franchise history when you include 2020. And we're going to learn a lot about them and how they bounce back from losses. And it's not going to be easy for the Roughnecks this week because they have to play the Defenders, a team that has not lost this season. And also, they have to go to D.C., a place where the Defenders have not lost this season or 2020. So this should be a very interesting game. And these teams match up somewhat interestingly because offensively, the Roughnecks, they're a pass-first team and have one of the better passing attacks in the XFL. For the Defenders, they've got a run-first offense, a team that wants to run the football and control the clock, and both teams are very, very good defensively. So if the Roughnecks can stop Abram Smith and the Defenders' rushing attack, I really like their chances to get the win, because the Defenders' passing attack is good, but it's nothing over the top, nothing too spectacular that's really going to make them be able to outscore the Roughnecks. Now, I don't know if the Roughnecks will be able to stop the Defenders' rushing attack, so I think the Defenders will get the win here at 25-21. But this is a game I can see going either way. Both teams are really, really good teams, and who knows, we may be seeing a preview of the championship game right here. But this is a game I could definitely see going either way between two really, really good teams. I have the Defenders remaining undefeated at home, and I think home field advantage could play a big factor in the Defenders coming out on top with the win. But I have the Defenders with the win 25-21 over the Roughnecks. So that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications to know most any of their upcoming videos. I do my best to post as often as possible. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my predictions, disagree, and why. Make sure to check out the community tab of my channel where you guys can vote on who you think will win this week's games. But I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.